The Baylor football program is again under scrutiny, with 3 players suspended after reports of a new sex assault investigation.
An online child sexting reveals an unlikely suspect, a sheriff's deputy with 26 years in law enforcement.
The NFL reveals its 2018 draft setup for AT&T Stadium, a 3-day event that will make history for the NFL and North Texas.
Here for you at 5 o'clock. Fox 4 News starts now.
The Baylor University Athletic Department again finds itself in the middle of a sexual assault scandal.
Head football coach Matt Rhule today confirmed that 3 players have been suspended for what he called disciplinary matters. Fox 4's Mike Ducey in right now with more. Mike.
Steve and Natalie, ESPN reports that back in November, female members of Baylor's equestrian team alleged that they had been sexually assaulted by several football players. The report saying that 3 players had been separated from the team after those allegations were made. Coach Matt Rhule would not get into details on any alleged incident. He did tell a Waco TV station that things are being handled, quote, the right way. Then Rhule held a news conference today announcing that 4 players will sit out spring practice. 3 in relation to the sexual assault investigation. He would not specify which 3. Rhule says he does not feel that the culture is bad at Baylor. He says significant improvements have been made in procedures since the earlier scandal, which cost Coach Art Briles his job in 2016.
There's process in place here where there's a committee that take it out of my hands, right? Like there's a committee that steps in and says, we meet, this happened, you're separated from the team. It's not Coach Rhule. This is a committee. And, you know, it's really at the forefront of most of college athletics. I've been reading articles in The Athletic where everyone's talking about what do you do? Like we have a committee on campus that comes together and says, this is what we're going to do.
Fox 4 obtained a police report confirming that the Baylor Police Department did receive a sexual assault report in November. The report is heavily redacted and does not include the names of the people accused or those leveling the charges. I'm Mike Ducey, Fox 4 News.
A Denton County Sheriff's deputy lost his job after he was arrested on a child sex charge. Weston Jordan is charged with online solicitation of a minor. Police say he was trying to meet up with who he thought was a 16-year-old boy when he was busted in a sting operation. Fox 4's Phil Alvarado is live from the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office with that story. Phil.
Natalie, apparently investigators did not know they were communicating with another law enforcement officer, but they were there to confront him when he showed up at a meeting place in Hurst. The DPS and the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department set up a sting operation involving online solicitation of a minor. One of the suspects ended up being a veteran Sheriff's Sergeant, West Jordan. Police were waiting for him. He ended up in jail and fired from the Denton County Sheriff's Department. Attorney Trent Lofton is not associated with this case.
Reaching out to someone he thought was a child, which has no place, especially in a police department or in our society.
A court document says Jordan believed he was communicating online with a 16-year-old boy, but when he showed up for the arranged meeting, the age changed. Police say he told officers he was waiting on an 18-year-old male he met online. In a statement, Denton County Sheriff Tracy Murphy said, "I am shocked and ashamed by the arrest of one of our own for such a horrible crime."
Officers in the state of Texas and the United States are out to protect us. We look at our officers for guidance. We look at our officers for so many things.
Jordan was a day shift patrol sergeant and had been with the Denton County Sheriff's Department since 1992. In the police document, investigators say Jordan told them the boy was going to spend the night and that they did have conversations involving sexual encounters, which is a key part of the charge.
In online solicitation, they're saying an individual went online trying to talk or entice a child, someone under the age of 17 or 14, into doing sexual things or meeting up for a sexual arrangement.
The police say that there was never an underage child involved in any of this. It was a police officer who was posing as the 16-year-old. Natalie?
All right, Phil Alvarado live tonight in Fort Worth. Thank you.
For the first time, we are seeing how AT&T Stadium will be transformed for the 2018 NFL Draft. First time it's ever been held in a stadium. The event is in late April, 6 weeks away, and this year the first 2 nights will be televised here on Fox 4. Hundreds of thousands of fans are expected to be in attendance for the three-day event. And Fox 4's James Rose live in Arlington with a closer look at how it'll work. James.
Yeah, Steve, this year's NFL Draft is expected to have what the NFL says is every aspect of football and fanfare that you can imagine. Now, the NFL has what they call a fan mobile pass that will be a unique experience for people that go to this. So far, 250,000 people have already registered for it, and the NFL says that's due in large part to where it is, here at AT&T Stadium.
This is the first ever NFL draft to take place in an NFL stadium.
And it won't just be inside AT&T Stadium. Organizers of the 2018 NFL Draft say the event is so big it will encompass the plaza areas and the stadium as well.
You're in a stadium, but it feels like you're outdoor, and the ability to connect the indoor theater that we're building here with the outdoor fan plaza is not something every stadium has.
Artist renderings show a multitude of events to be held outside the stadium that will include food, music, and even an NFL Combine Challenge where fans can measure themselves against the greats.
The vertical leap experience, the passing games, the kicking games.
Given the vast amount of space inside AT&T Stadium, the NFL says it's going to do something it's never done before, creating team fan delegations on the field called the Inner Circle.
Each of the 32 teams will have the opportunity to invite 50 of their fans to be in that delegation on the floor and really represent them, almost political convention style.
Last year's NFL Draft in Philadelphia was famously whipped into a frenzy with a chorus of boos by Eagle fans for Dallas Cowboys legend Drew Pearson.
And on behalf of the five-time world champion Dallas Cowboys.
But for an undrafted free agent, the draft really has been good to me. You know, since I made that announcement in Philly, a lot of good things have been happening for Drew Pearson.
Pearson will play a pivotal role in this year's draft.
We want to do it Dallas Cowboys style, North Texas style. And I pity the team that has to follow us because it's not going to be easy.
Now, also on display will be all 5 of the Dallas Cowboys Lombardi trophies, and they encourage people to take a selfie with the trophies. And if you are on this fan mobile pass, it will go instantly to your phone. And bottom line is, you can, the more places that you check in, the greater your chances of winning more prizes, merchandise, and possibly even tickets to get inside as the draft is going on. So a lot of stuff happening out here, Steve, coming up in the next 6 weeks or so.
All right. Jerry Jones extravaganza. Cowboys do it big all the time. Thanks a lot, James. Again, coverage of the first 2 evenings of the NFL Draft taking place at AT&T Stadium will be carried on Fox, and we'll be bringing you extensive coverage of all the events leading up to it. Be sure to keep it right here, both on air, Channel 4, and online.
A Fort Worth police officer was allowed to resign instead of being fired for shooting an unarmed man. Courtney Johnson was charged with aggravated assault for shooting Gregory Adams in 2015. The case ended with a mistrial. Adams was holding a large barbecue fork when police arrived at his home on a disturbance call. Police Chief Joel Fitzgerald says Adams was complying with officers' demands and kneeling down and dropping the fork when Officer Johnson shot and wounded him. Johnson was fired but appealed his termination. The Civil Service Board upheld complaints of excessive force and deadly conduct, but also gave him a reduced suspension with an opportunity for back pay in exchange for his immediate resignation. In his resignation letter, Johnson apologized for his actions. Well, hundreds of thousands of students across the country participated in walkouts to push for stricter gun control laws.
Students in major cities, including Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New Orleans, protested for 17 minutes, 1 minute for every student killed in the Parkland school shooting. Comes on the same day accused Parkland shooter appeared in court. Fox's Caroline Shively has more.
Nicholas Cruz in a Florida courtroom exactly 1 month after he opened fire at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. On Tuesday, prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty against the 19-year-old, who is charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder and 17 counts of attempted murder.
A plea of not guilty shall be entered on the defendant's behalf on all 34 4 counts of
The court appearance happening the same day people all over the country marched in solidarity with the school safety movement. Students walking out of classrooms to call for change. Many protesting for 17 minutes, one for each person murdered in Parkland.
Today we proved that we are here. We have a voice and we will not be silent.
A rally held here in Washington, D.C. as well. Students gathering in front of the White House before heading to Capitol Hill, where they joined up with lawmakers also supporting the cause.
We will accept nothing less than comprehensive gun control.
In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
The United States House of Representatives overwhelmingly passed a bill to improve school safety. The bill authorizes $500 million over 10 years for state-based grants to improve training, threat assessment, and coordination between schools and local law enforcement. It's the first action taken by Congress since the attack in Florida that killed 17 people. Today, the deputy director of the FBI told the Senate Judiciary Committee that the Bureau, quote, could have and should have done more. The FBI has acknowledged it received separate tips related to the accused shooter, but did not pursue them.
House Speaker Paul Ryan says an extremely tight special election in Pennsylvania should be a wake-up call for the party. But the White House has a different spin in the race between Democrat Conor Lamb and Republican Rick Saccone. White House spokesman Raj Shah says the president's campaigning for Saccone turned a deficit into essentially a tie. Lamb is currently leading by a razor-thin margin. President Bush won that same district in the general election by nearly 20 points. The House seat was vacated by former Republican Tim Murphy after reports he told his mistress to have an abortion.
Great Britain is throwing dozens of Russian diplomats out of the country in retaliation for last week's nerve agent attack on a former Russian spy. Prime Minister Theresa May made the announcement this morning after Russia ignored her midnight deadline to explain how the rare nerve agent used in the attack made it to Britain. The 23 expelled diplomats are believed to be involved in espionage-related activities. It's the biggest expulsion since the Cold War. Russian officials have denied responsibility for the attack.
A former executive at Equifax is accused of profiting from a massive data breach that affected 150 million people.
Memorials are pouring in for renowned physicist Stephen Hawking after he passed away in his sleep.
Much of the Northeast is cleaning up from its third nor'easter in less than 2 weeks.